2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
How do I have a healthy relationship with my daughter-in-law?
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brannon, how's it going, man?
It's going good.
You survived the holiday season?
Oh, barely. Yeah, it was rough, but we did it. Oh, sorry. Yeah, but it was good. How about you?
Yeah, it was a great time. We had our mom and dad back from their church mission for the first year in a couple of years with Christmas. So it was good to see them again. It was good to see the whole family. You know, it was our year to spend some time with, you and the rest of our side of the family. And I actually really enjoyed that day that we had together. So
yeah, it was good. It was good time. So the kids got more than spoiled.
As usual.
I mean, it's just like shove a bunch of sugar and, and toys, but you know what? It's magical.
It happens every year. My wife and I sit down like 2 months out from Christmas. And we're like, hey, this year, let's tone it down. Let's just get back to the true meaning of Christmas. Let's do like a service oriented thing. And we all agree, we make this pact. We're not spending a ton of money. And then like literally a month and a half later, I'm like, how much do we just spend on Christmas?
All of us parents have visions of like serving the homeless meals on Christmas and stuff. And instead it's just like spoiling the kids rotten. So I'm going to do better next year.
Yeah, me too, Brad. Yeah. We'll make that commitment. I guess we'll make that commitment 12 months early instead of 2 months this year.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. But yeah, we have another review. We love your reviews, so we're going to share another one really quickly, and then we'll get into it with our guest here today. This one says, living with intention. This podcast has taught me the meaning of intentional living. Tyler and Brannon bring on incredible guests and promote vulnerability and honesty, which I have learned are foundational aspects of a true recovery. I've learned to run from my emotional discomforts for years, which has led to unwanted behaviors. These episodes often remind me of the importance of facing discomfort head on, and the recovery comes through vulnerability and directly confronting painful emotions. So, Brannon, way to go. Sometimes we sit and wonder if we're helping anybody or, what we're doing, sometimes, especially on a week with the holidays. But those kinds of reviews, they actually really are motivational for me, and I know for Brannon too. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That's really kind of you. So All right. Well, we have a favorite guest of ours here today. So, Catherine, welcome back.
Thank you. If you weren't making a difference, I wouldn't be back again. So,
well, thanks.
You've been with us for a long time, Catherine. It's been a couple of years now, I think. So,
yeah,
we've seen some life transitions happen for you, and you working through specific things and some challenges and things. So, hopefully, we can help you today. Mm-hmm. If you could just fill us in, tell us what's going on these days, and help us understand your situation.
Yeah. So let's see, March 1st, it'll be 2 years since the divorce. And the last time I met with you, it was about letting go, and that's been going okay, I think. But before, like about 5 years ago, during our separation between my ex-husband and I, my kids took me aside. Two of my kids took me aside with my daughter-in-law because my son said, well, she's part of the family too. And they wanted to tell me what my blind spots were. And they're like, well, we love you, but we want you to know your blind spots. And, you know, you're critical and you're nitpicky and you're passive aggressive and you're too negative and you're not affectionate enough. And it went on about that's why, you know, they were kind of blaming me, like, that's why your marriage is where it's at. And nothing about my ex-husband and his sex addiction. That was kind of how it started 5 years ago. And then it's kind of been like that with, we want to keep telling you what we don't like about you.
Oh.
You know, and so this happened recently again. Things kind of blew up, and I can tell you what the situation was. And I think part of it is like they say that I'm too quiet and they don't know how I'm feeling. And so they have to guess, and they don't like guessing. And then they don't feel safe around me. But I am just a quiet person. And and when I have voiced my hurt or something, if I say I'm hurt about something, my daughter-in-law said, well, you're too easily offended. So again, you know, I feel labeled and judged by them. So it's hard for me to speak up for myself or say anything. So I just kind of puts me back into being more quiet. So anyway, what happened was my grandkids, my son and his wife have been married like 12 years, and they have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. And the kids got that hand, foot, mouth disease, and then my daughter-in-law got it. And I guess they were all really sick. And so my son texted me, oh, she could use some help. Well, this was like the week before Christmas and the last week of my school. I work after school with kids, and it was a really busy week. And I said, well, I can't do much, but I could drop some soup off. And she's like, oh, that'd be great. Well, the communication kind of got skewed with where I was going to drop it off. I was going to drop it off at my son's work, but decided I was going near her house anyway, so I would drop it off at their house. So when I got to their house to drop the food off and rang the doorbell, nobody answered. And so I called, and then she said, oh, we just left to go to a music class. And I thought, well, then you must not be very sick. And so I guess I did kind of judge her at that time and I sent her a text and said, oh, you must not be sick now. I'm glad you're feeling better. That was my text. Mm-hmm. And then her text back to me was, you sound upset. And I didn't answer that because I met some friends for like a birthday get together, and my friends were like, just don't answer that. Just don't engage in that. She's trying to push you. And then she said, am I wrong? And I just said, I'm happy you're feeling better. And then it turned into this big blow up, where my son called me, and we talked for like an hour and a half, and then she and I talked about it, and I think they just said that we don't want to ask you for help because it feels like there's strings attached. And I'm like, what strings are attached? I was just trying to help. And then I thought, well, she kept pushing me, like, I don't know why you were so upset. And what did you need? Did you need validation? And, what it was it? And she kept pushing me about, she couldn't understand this whole situation. Anyway, it got really very complicated. And I just kind of said, she felt like my text was mean. She said, it was mean, and they're trying to teach their 4-year-old that you can speak up for yourself and say how you feel without being mean. And I'm thinking, how was I mean? And my intentions were good. And I said, well, I'm really sorry. And I said, will you forgive me? But I don't know that she said, I'll forgive you. Anyway, I just said, will you forgive me? And I'm really sorry. And, so here I was trying to help them, and then I'm apologizing. And I think that's kind of how it goes with me a lot, where I get blamed for something and then I'm the one apologizing. And so anyway, it's kind of that I told my son, it's really hard for me to get the words out. I kind of freeze, and she's very, has a really strong personality, and she's getting her master's in counseling, and she's kind of like knows everything, and you can't have your opinion because, she's right about everything. So I don't even hardly engage in any kind of conversation, not to mention I've been studying sex addiction for the last 6 years and reading every book there is, and yet I don't really know anything. That's kind of the situation. And, I think she'll say things like, I want a relationship and I want to get to know you, but, I get mixed messages when I'm around her. And even my ex-husband says he doesn't feel that welcome over there.
Catherine?
Yeah.
Let me just ask you a question that might...
Yeah.
I'll come back to what
Yeah.
you're talking about. Remind me how many kids you have?
Well, we have 3, but the oldest one cut off any communication with us. So I have the sons in the middle, and then 2 daughters on each side. And
Okay.
Yeah.
So the oldest one cut off any communication. How long ago?
It's been a couple years.
A couple years.
Mm-hmm.
What were the reasons for that? At least if it was explained to you.
Really complicated. She was in I don't know, I can't even go into it. It's such a long story. Yeah. So, I mean, that would be a whole nother episode with her. So she's got 4 children that we don't see. So I've got 4 grandchildren from her that I don't have any contact with.
With any of your children, do you have a good relationship?
I thought I did with the oldest.
Okay.
But, she has been battling her addiction to alcohol, and that really, so I think she's got borderline personality, so you never know if she's going to be the nice person or the mean person. My youngest daughter grew up with my husband and I fighting all the time because she was 10 years younger than my son. So she was kind of an only child, and I think she kind of favors her dad. And so that's another relationship I want to work on. I think my son and I have had a lot of healing. We've done a couple counseling sessions, and we really do talk about things. Like, I feel like I can talk to him. But again,
he's the one married to this
her
daughter-in-law?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I only have one daughter-in-law. So,
yeah.
But again, I told him I don't really want to talk about her because I don't want to be triangulating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, but, you know, he and I can tell him pretty much how I feel, but she's, yeah.
So you've gotten feedback from them. I'm just trying to stop for a second and look for patterns and look, just for you to look at and say, okay, is there any merit to this?
Mm-hmm.
Is there parts of it that are mine? And you know, what do I need to look at? And and if it is, then what can I work on? And you know, how is that happening? I'm sure you've probably done that some, right, Catherine? No.
Yeah, I wanted my husband to change, ex-husband to change. So then you have to think about, well, what is the change I wanted? You know, what is the change they want? And I told my daughter-in-law even, like, okay, if that sounded passive aggressive, my text, then it would help me. I told her, if you would say that felt passive aggressive instead of saying you are passive aggressive. Because I feel like I've been like, you are this and you are that. And, you know, so she didn't really say much about that. But I said that would help me. But also, like, if you guys don't know how I'm feeling, why don't you ask me? I mean, I don't always think about just offering up information all the time. But so, yeah, maybe the question, I don't know what they really want for me to change, except maybe talking about things like, I don't know, there was something on Instagram. This woman says, in dysfunctional families, any communication kind of comes across as confrontation. And it's easier to just sweep things under the rug and not talk about things because maybe it'll go away. And, you know, nobody really wants conflict or anger, or, you know, I have to think about, what do I fear? I guess I fear rejection and anger and disapproval, or not being, you know, and so I'd rather just, maybe I'm just trying to stay safe. I don't know.
You'd rather avoid confrontation than face those things. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brannon.
No, I didn't go ahead. I don't have anything.
It's interesting that you'd start to bring that stuff up. It kind of goes along with a couple of questions I wanted to ask you, Catherine. Since you're the one here doing the work with us, you're the one getting all the questions, right? We'd be doing the same thing with your daughter-in-law and your son too. But first, I just want to say that I actually hear 3 people that are trying to fight for a relationship in a certain way. They're just not doing it in a very clear way. You wouldn't have any of this struggle that you're having and that they're having if all 3 parties weren't fighting for something. So maybe that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. But I want to ask you, when it comes to your way of being with your, let's just say your daughter-in-law, and maybe to some extent to your son, you haven't said anything yet about your own experience. What has been your experience in terms of when it comes to my relationship with my daughter-in-law, I feel blank?
I guess I'm probably a little bit afraid of her because she's so outspoken, and I don't feel accepted.
Okay. I feel afraid of her. Why? And you feel afraid of her because she's outspoken. What does it mean if she's outspoken? What is that going to mean to you or about you?
I feel maybe judged by her. Again, like, I guess it's that underlying message I've gotten over the years and talks with them that they just want me to be different than I am.
Okay. So you feel judged?
So maybe I just don't feel like good enough, or...
Okay. Judged, not accepted, not good enough. How did it feel to you when you knocked on the door and nobody answered the door? What was the emotion on the inside for you?
I don't know, kind of this like shock, I guess, because I thought the situation was she would be homesick. And then I thought, well, wow, where did I go? I missed something here. Like, why is she not home? Because if you're that sick with that it's supposed to be so contagious. Like, why would you not be home? That was my feeling.
What was your experience? So you're confused as to why she wasn't home, but what was your experience with that? Did you feel let down? Did you feel devalued? Did you feel in the dark, like you were made to feel crazy? Like, what did you feel?
Yeah, I felt in the dark. Yeah, like, again, like, what was I missing in the communication of that? I think it's kind of that disappointment of my expectation was my expectation was she'd be there and she wasn't. So I'm like, okay, trying to, get my focus on, okay, what's going on here, like confusion. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, probably like I kind of went out of my way to do what I did on a really busy week. And she even said, so if I wasn't sick, you didn't really want to help me. I'm like, well, not then, I didn't. I don't mind helping, but that was not a good time for me.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you right, then down underneath all of this, there's feelings of fear, of being judged, of being not accepted, feelings of inadequacy, feelings of walking on eggshells, being in the dark, and then feelings of not being valued.
Yeah.
That's what's down underneath all of it. Now let's connect the dots for a second. That's what's going on for you on the inside. How does it go from that feeling to you must not be sick, or whatever the text was that you said? I'm glad you're feeling better.
Well, I guess my text was, this must be the situation. I thought the situation was you were going to be homesick, but here's the situation. You're not sick and you're not home. So then you must be feeling better. So I really was glad if she was feeling better, but.
And then her text back was, you're upset.
Yeah. You sound upset.
And she was right, but you can't admit that.
Yeah, I didn't want to admit it.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel safe because of all those feelings that you have. And that's where your guys are getting stuck a little bit here is that in a certain sense, you're falling into something called the collusion diagram, which is found in the Anatomy of Peace. It'd be a great read if you haven't read it before. You probably have.
No, I haven't read that one.
Phenomenal. It'll be perfect for what you're dealing with here. But in a certain sense, she becomes critical and coercive and controlling in her response to you. And she says that you're being passive aggressive, and then your response back to her is passive aggressive. And so both of you guys actually get to stay right, but nothing ever gets to be seen between the two of you guys in terms of what's really actually happening. Because your response to her, and you're trying to keep the peace because you don't want to get rejected, was actually passive aggressive, when the truth was, hey, I just stopped by. I hope everything's okay. I hope you're feeling better, but I'm kind of having a little bit of a rough time right now because I feel a little bit devalued. And I'm even afraid to bring this up with you because I don't want to cause a fight, but you need to know how I feel because you're always asking to hear how I feel. But none of that ever gets spoken. And then you guys have this like silent, weird game going on that never actually gets to the vulnerable parts of what's going on. So then we just can have a fight about soup instead.
Yeah.
You know, and it's never about the soup.
I see something like deeper going on here, that leads to what Tyler just illustrated, and where you get in that dynamic with her again and again and again. You work, Catherine, you work as a teacher?
Just after school care. It's more like babysitting kids after school.
Okay. And you're busy?
Yeah.
And so they come along and they basically should on you. They tell you what you should be. You should want to support us more. You like, you were compelled to bring the soup in the first place.
Yeah.
You were busy. And like, it started way back then. And what I'm seeing is an inability for you to own you, who you are in that moment. There's this guilt, there's this shame that's telling you, oh, I should do this for them, or I should. Mm-hmm. And her loud voice, her aggression, I'll call it, maybe she's just very authentic, right? But whatever it is, that is such a trigger to you to go into this, okay, I'll try to avoid conflict. I'll try to please you. Which will lead to some resentment back toward her. So because you're being controlled by her, and then you're resenting her back. And in the first place, it's all about just being okay with you. If you're a busy woman and you're helping children, and like, you don't need to bring them soup. Yeah. You can say, hey, make your own soup. I'm busy. And then, well, you're an unloving mother. You don't care about us. You can think what you want. I love you. I'm here for you, but I'm busy and I can't bring you soup. Right. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. But there's this part inside of you, this protective part inside of you that's saying, okay, I've got to manage this by just kind of complying here and trying to make her happy. And you had a right to be mad when you showed up and she wasn't there and you brought her soup, especially when they kind of demanded that you would bring the soup, right? You had a right to be upset. You also had a right to, in the first place, say, it doesn't work for me to show up for you this week. I'm sorry. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. You finally stepped up and had some boundaries with your husband, right? Like, it took a long, long, long time for you to finally say, enough is enough. Like, I'll step into the conflict. I'll step in the consequences of what that conflict is, and I'll have these boundaries. And I bet that was pretty hard. I know it was like, it took a while. It was excruciating, right? But you did it, Catherine. You did it. You have another part in you that can stand up and be honest about what works for you and what doesn't. It's in there, right? Now, if you start doing that, your daughter-in-law might hate you, or she might like you more. She might know you better. Yeah. Right? Who knows which direction that would go? I don't know for sure. And I think that's the scary part, right?
Yeah, I think maybe I don't even know really how to have a relationship with them. I mean, I see a lot of the ways my son is like their dad. And, he works really hard all week, and then he just has projects all weekend, and he wants the house clean, and he's always doing chores. And he's like, you can come help with the chores. So when I go over there, like yesterday, I went over to be with her family to do their Christmas. And I get there and there's like 12 baby bottles that need washing out, and the sink is full of dirty dishes, and the dishwasher needs emptying. And so what do? I jump in and start doing dishes and washing out baby bottles. And, if I
Catherine, did you want to? Were you good with that? Did you choose that?
I did, because I'd rather do that than just sit there. Like,
okay. Did you want to be there and do that? Is that what you wanted? Okay.
But I end up, that's pretty much now what I do. And not that I need any, my son's really good at saying thank you and acknowledging me. He does really well at that. And it's not that I even wanted that then. I mean, I did with the soup incident, but I think maybe that, and I saw my ex-husband and I were both kind of like this. It's easier to just be busy and do stuff than engage with somebody, right? Like, although my son and I sat there and the kids, everybody was taking a nap except him, and I sat with him and tried to talk. We didn't really talk about anything deep, but, he was tired. But, I sat with him, and I would have been open to any conversation. But, I don't know. I know that he and his wife have a lot of struggles. They have fights quite often, and they're in counseling. He's got a porn addiction, and, they have their own struggles. She's got childhood abuse. And so there's a lot of underlying pain and dysfunction and everywhere.
Yeah. Another thing that might just be true, because we're all built differently too, is that conflict to your daughter-in-law may mean something different than it does to you.
Yeah.
It sounds like she's kind of used to conflict and okay with it because she feels like it gets things out on the table, and you have a different feeling about it. And so anytime there's a dust up, it's maybe a little bit more in the realm of what's okay and normal for her, versus you feeling like it's like, whoa, now I'm going to be seen as all those things again, not valued, and feared, not accepted, judged. Some people just have different approaches to that too, and that might be part of what's going on as well.
Yeah. And, she had said, like, my son has a hard time opening up too. And, she tells him, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. So and she said that to me too. I'm not going anywhere.
The challenge with that, and this is where some of the work might come in, is that for a person like that, she's not going anywhere and she's okay with conflict, but she also doesn't feel a deep connection with you or with him or whatever else. And that's where she's maybe in her own position of being stuck too. So you're in your position of like, I can't share my feelings because then I'm going to be judged and this and that and the other. And on the other side, she's wanting deep connection. She's wanting people to share. She's saying she's here. She's not going anywhere, but she hasn't learned how to create space to hold anything yet.
Yeah.
And she's never going to get a chance. Now, this is going to be the hard part. She's never going to get a chance to get any better at that. And so she's going to keep getting in her own way unless somebody loves her enough to step in and say, I want to be able to fight for a relationship with you, and I want to learn how to share with you, and I need to have a safe place to share. And sometimes it's really hard to share because the minute I share something, I'm not met with curiosity and understanding and compassion. I'm met with, well, here's how you're wrong. It's your fault because you're this, that, or the other.
Yeah.
And I actually want to share more with you. And if you're willing to learn to hold space, I'd be willing to share in practice, and vice versa. I don't really want to share in practice because I'm afraid of your judgment, but I want to share because I want that connection with you. but it needs to have two sides to it, or else it's going to turn into this like one up, one down, where she's always judging you, you're always less than, you close up and prove her right, and she proves you right, and you're right back to it again.
Yeah.
Something different has to shift. Could I, and I know Brannon probably has a few thoughts on this, but could I give you like some tangible things to just do some thinking and journaling on?
Yeah.
All right. This comes from an assignment that we sometimes give out in our group sessions. But there's just some phrases or word stems I want you to journal that could potentially turn into a letter you'd write. You could then either rehearse with other people first or share with the people that you love. Okay. First one, I want to share my feelings about blank with you because I love you and I want you to understand my struggle. Number 2.
Do I have to say what my struggle is?
Yeah, you can talk about, I want to share my feelings about why it's so hard for me to talk with you, or about the feelings that I have about our relationship, or that's just the beginning part of it, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Number 2, you may describe me in these ways, blank. You may describe me as judging, controlling, whatever else they've told you are. I can appreciate that you can see, that you feel those ways, and I can see why you might feel that way. Number 3, I prefer to describe myself in these ways.
Okay.
Afraid, judged, not accepted, inadequate. These things make me feel blank. Now list them all out and put a sentence or two to each one of those feelings.
Okay.
The next one is...
But I describe myself as whatever, and then these things make me feel.
Yeah, so I feel, so you list them all off first. I'm afraid and not accepted, not enough for you, in shock or in the dark, not valued, all the things that you said. And then go back through that list and write down 1 or 2 sentences about, I feel afraid of you. Here's why I feel afraid of you. Okay. I feel not accepted. Here's where I think it comes from that I don't feel accepted. That kind of a thing. Make sure it's about you and your experience and not about her being this, that, or the other. Okay?
Well, if I feel afraid of her, it's because of something she is, right?
Well, maybe. It might be both. I'm afraid of you. Part of that's because I just can't stand the idea of conflict and I hate the feeling of tension.
Yeah.
That's something I'm trying to step into. And sometimes the way that you approach things with such passion is hard for me to feel like it's not conflict. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So then the last, there's 2 more. You can help me.
Okay.
I know you care about our relationship. My sadness causes you sadness. My hurt causes you hurt. Here's how you can help me. If you'd like to help me, these are the ways that you can help me, and then list off a few things. And then finish with gratitude. Finish with a paragraph of gratitude. And you may not ever share this with her, but it's going to help you start to actually learn to articulate yourself a little bit differently than, I'm glad you're feeling better. No, you sound mad. Actually, I'm a little bit put out right now because I thought that I was coming to help support you, but that looks like maybe you didn't need my support. And maybe my shame got hit a little bit there, but I'm actually not really in the best headspace. Give me a few minutes.
Yeah.
Right? That would be so much more honest than, oh, I'm so glad you're feeling better.
So, you can see it, huh?
Yeah. So do you have all those? Yeah.
I guess, and that's what they communicated to me too. Like in the moment, I was, it's kind of like my brain doesn't even work. Like I can't think of those kind of things in the moment, right? Like,
yeah. No, of course not. And that's why I'm going to give you that challenge that everything I just gave you, that's going to be something you're going to go rinse and repeat after every time you have an interaction and you get frozen and you're like, take a time out, go look at those kinds of questions. And then if you need to, step back in with some of those answers if you need to. Sometimes you'll just let them go, but that you're going to get better at training yourself to say, I can see it differently. Like I don't have to take this so personally, and I don't have to get frozen up, the way, because the body's just like locking you up right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my one counselor, has told me over the years, like, you don't have a strong sense of self. And like I know what I like and don't like. So I'm like, well, I don't know what that means, not a strong sense of self, but I know that I'm not assertive.
Yeah, if I can try to explain, you know what you like and you don't like. Internally, you might know yourself, but I don't know if it's about a strong sense of self. You have fear taking over, and you have a difficulty expressing authentically who you are. Right.
Yeah.
So it's about others. It's about others' approval of you. That's where you crumble, and that's where you go away because you're in protection mode.
Yeah.
Right. So do you have the strength to step into being yourself even when it's difficult? And what Tyler's talking about is practicing that a little bit at a time. Like, let's take this example that we're talking about. You sound upset. Are you upset? And you're like, no, I just thought, I'm glad that you're not sick anymore, or whatever you said. I can't remember. But for you to pause for a minute, to just pause and be like, what is honest with who I am? And I'm going to show her who I am, not in anger, not in manipulation or whatever.
Drama.
It's just, I'm just going to show her who I am. Hey, I am frustrated. I brought this soup over. I expected you to be here and you're not here. So yeah, I'm frustrated. That maybe in the future I might not bring the soup because you might not need it. So and that's got to be honest, not manipulative, right? So but to just be honest and sit in that, there's this uncomfortable space. And I learned this. I remember I was running one of my first groups years ago, and this guy was just in denial, and he was railroading the group, and I'm naturally like you, Catherine, where it's like, well, I don't want conflict, and I want people to like
people
me.
would not believe that about you, Brannon, but it's true.
No, that's like who I normally am, or was, I should say. And I remember sitting in the group and just getting this like yucky feeling of like, everybody knows this isn't truth. Everybody knows this guy is manipulating. Everybody knows this. And the whole group, none of them would step up and say, no, right? And I sat there and I remember kind of squirming in my chair, and I was like, okay, I'm going for it. And I went for it, and I called the guy out. And it felt so good, and it was terrifying at the same time. Right? And I might have gone a little overboard because I was so, but it felt so good to just get honest in that moment, even when it was hard. And he was surprised. He was really kind of shocked, and it was what was best for him. And I wasn't doing him any favors by not being authentic in that moment. So I understand the feeling, and I understand, I've sold out plenty of times in my life, and I've worked extremely hard not to. I try really hard not to anymore. And it's amazing, Catherine, I can promise you this. It gets so much easier. Like, it's so much easier to just be honest and be authentic. You realize you're not going to die. And then like your relationships improve, and there's all these other like good consequences that come from just practicing that authenticity. Maybe the best consequence is you actually love yourself more. You trust yourself more. And it's awesome. So
Brannon,
take one little step at a time. Go ahead, Tyler.
I want to add to what you just said, because there's something that'll be confusing to people that just heard you say that, because what you said is true. But you said your relationships will improve. In some ways, from the outside, some of those relationships will not improve.
I would argue against that. I would say they'll feel like they get worse, but they are improving.
No, that's what I'm getting at, is like the improvement will come from the inside out, where your way of being towards the other person will feel better. You'll have more peace, you'll have more joy, you'll have more gratitude, you'll have more love towards the person. Some people will actually nestle into places that are further away from you than they have been.
Yes.
But that will be an improvement in the relationship, because you'll be putting relationships in places where you're not going to resent them. And then the byproduct will be what Brannon's talking about, that place of internal peace, love, self-confidence. And that will be a place where you're finding more joy in whatever the relationships are. So that's the trick to it. Because people are like, well, if I'm honest, then it's going to make my relationships better. The minute you go get honest with your daughter-in-law, guess what's going to happen? You're stepping into her realm, and she's gonna be like, all right, I'm going into my place. I'm going to tell her all the reasons why she's wrong and why she need to protect myself and da-da-da-da-da. And you're going to be like, Brannon is full of crap. Like that didn't work. But if you do it consistently and you get to where you can do it with a heart that's at peace, then what will happen is the relationship will form itself around both of your mutual boundaries with each other. And then you'll be able to go give soup or not with a wholehearted piece of love, and not need her to be like, thank you so much or whatever else, because you're gonna be like, I just did this because that's what I wanted to do as a mother here.
Well, I felt like that was my intention, but I was willing to sacrifice if the sacrifice was needed. I think that was and then when the sacrifice didn't seem to be needed, it was like, well, why am I sacrificing?
Yes. It hit some of your values. And I also think that part of what happened there is that in that instance, you probably did do it with the right heart, but you guys both have stuff that's so far under the bridge right now.
Yeah.
Like all of that stuff, like I'm still afraid, I'm not accepted, I'm judged, I'm not valued. Until those things get dealt with either internally or outwardly with her, you're gonna run into, it's gonna be soup one day, it'll be a holiday thing the next time, it'll be a different sick kid that I couldn't get to the next time. Until those deeper things get dealt with, then it's just going to be a fight about the soup.
Yeah.
But your heart could be good.
And it's hard to find the time, they live an hour away, so it's hard to know when to bring things up.
We had a comment that I want to speak to. It says having trust first makes honesty easier. I actually disagree with that, and let me explain. You can't have trust without honesty. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to be honest with somebody that you don't know, that you don't have a relationship with at all.
Yeah.
So I have zero trust with you. I can just be blunt and direct and right. So you build trust by being honest.
Yeah.
And I think what this question kind of brings out, though, is how hard it is to be honest with the people closest to us, because there's so much at stake.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And trust isn't built by like playing these games of like avoiding conflict and getting you to like me and all that. That's not what builds the trust. So then you can be honest. It's actually the opposite.
Something though, Brannon, I think that go along with this, and I'm thinking about my own relationships with this comment, and I actually think there's some truth to it, is that if I'm in a relationship with somebody and we've had at least a discussion where I'm saying, hey, I want to share more with you, but these are the ways where I break down. If I know the other person is committed to learning those skills, even if they don't get them right, if I can trust that they're willing to work on it, it's a lot easier for me to go and be honest there.
Well, and that's where safety is. I mean, that's where you start to build a deeper relationship, is when both people are willing to say, okay, like, I want to support, like Tyler, let's pretend it's you and I. Like, I want to support you to be as honest as you possibly can be with me, because I love you and I want to be close to you. Right. So
thanks, Brannon. Can I try to tell you that I think you're controlling and you don't listen very well?
Yeah. So I'm willing to listen to that. Like, I can, if I will listen and self-reflect.
And if you will listen, I'm going to be more likely to share with you. But if you refuse to listen and you're like, no, Tyler, you're just being your skin's too thin and you take things too personally and this and that and the other, then I'm going to walk away and be like, I don't really think I want to talk to Brannon about that.
Yeah. Right. That's how I am. Yeah. Right.
And I think what's happening, Catherine, with you and your daughter-in-law is both of you honestly, in your unhealthiness, are like, are not creating safety. Her with her aggression, and you're with your passiveness.
Yeah.
It doesn't create this space for both of you to just be more honest and open with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you can only work on one side of that fence.
Just yourself.
Yeah. And I think it is, it is hard when somebody says that, like, you are easily offended and you thin skinned or whatever. Like, but again, I'm like, okay, they keep saying, here's all your blind spots. And I'm like, well, do I have the freedom to tell you what your blind spots are? Like, if you want to go both ways, like.
Well, and that's a boundary that's a boundary you can have. Hey, I'm willing to listen if you're willing to listen. But if you're just going to dump on me, then I don't want to have those conversations. Yeah. But if it can go both ways, then that's great for us.
Think of the power of being able to actually take a look at all that feedback and find pieces and kernels of truth in what they say, and then to actually take those back and help them understand how those blind spots are being exacerbated by their approach. So it's like, hey, you take things too personally, Mom. And you walk away and you're like, oh, sometimes I do take things personally. Instead of going back and be like, okay, I need to tell you all of your blind spots, go home and go back and say, I really thought hard about what you said. And you know what? Sometimes I do take things too personally. And that's something I'm really going to work on. And here's where I think it breaks down with you guys, because when I try to share things and it doesn't get held or understood or not met with curious questions, it feels like judgment. That propensity for me to take it personally is makes it really hard to communicate with you guys.
Yeah, that's good.
So now you're actually inviting them into a space to help you, while not fighting with them or being like, okay, here's your list of, for me, you came up with 20, I came up with 21. So we're almost even. Like that's not gonna work very well. But take the truth and be like, I did take it personal, and that's something I want to work on, and you can help me.
Yeah, that's
I
mean, I'm sure that is. I'm sure I do, because my coworker, who's a lot like my daughter-in-law, she's a very know-it-all, really outgoing, outspoken, and she'll say, just speak up. When something bothers you, just speak up. But then when I do, it's, here's the 5 agreement book. And, the one agreement is, don't take things personally. Okay, I'll try. But again, then why would I bring something up when I met with that? Because I think there are, if the other person doesn't really want to change, I don't know what the reason of, why would I bring up something that, like, I don't want to get off the subject with my daughter-in-law, but it's kind of in the same realm of, with my coworker, we have another worker with us, and they become buddy-buddy, and so then I'm kind of left out. And I told her, I said, I kind of feel left out. I don't feel really included because you guys are making plans to do these activities with the kids, and you're not even talking to me. And she's like, well, include yourself. She's telling me to include myself. And I'm thinking it goes both ways. How do I include myself into people? Do I push my way in? If I say it's really hard to say something when you're met with, well, you're just doing it wrong.
And when that comes through, you can, when that freeze response starts to stop, you can actually say, okay, how do I best include myself in a way that works for all of us?
Yeah. You're really good at these questions.
Well, that's because I'm not flooded with emotion right now. If it was me in my own situation, it would be different. Yeah.
If I could just have your words in my head all the time, I'd be doing good.
Catherine, we're running out of time. I feel like we could go on and on with this for a while, and just dig into the little nuances of it. But a lot of it is you doing your own personal work to strengthen and who you are and trust yourself more. We talk about the 4 agreements, not making assumptions, not taking things personally, being impeccable with your word, doing your best. Those things take inner strength. They take an ability to sit in the discomfort. And I just want to say before we let you go, one thing that I do feel from you is how much you love your family.
Amen.
And that you are a good mom. And whether they're telling you are or not, like, it sounds like you want to show up for them. Just remember that you are a good person and that you're doing good in the world. Okay. And I just want to thank you for coming on again. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your help too. And, it really is helpful to get feedback from you guys. So,
well, we love your courage. I think it's the 3rd time, maybe more, but I think it's 3 times we've had you on the show, and it's been really amazing. I would love for people, and I don't think we were doing YouTube back in your first 2 episodes, but just the physiological change in your demeanor and your countenance over the last 3 years is remarkable. I don't know if you would agree with it or not, but we've only seen you in snapshots. This is the 3rd time in a couple of years, and I can tell that you have done a ton of work on yourself. And I hope that you're finding some peace. And I'm glad that we're talking about fighting with the in-laws, because that's the next one after you get through a bad relationship. So you're moving in the right space, I think, right now. So no, I'm just proud of the work that you're doing, and thank you for your willingness to come on and be with us today.
Yeah, thank you. And I think part of the good outcome of the divorce has been becoming my own person with my kids just by myself, having my relationship with them. It's not our relationship with them. And so, having to work on it because he's not working on it. So, yeah.
All right, Catherine. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a wonderful day. And you guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. Really appreciate everybody listening. And until next time, keep on keeping on.